we're talking a little bit about what's changed in terms of engaging with people you don't agree with. And I think to some extent, what we're seeing on social media, this phenomenon of echo chambers, if you don't want to, I want to ask you how that sort of relates to the book, because you were saying, for example, the Amazon reviews, this has become a thing, I believe, a phenomenon.
Yeah, in Amazon, because everyone, what is happening, they will find about, they'll go to your timeline, they'll see the kind of tweets you're doing, they've already formed an opinion about it. Then they will go and they'll say, oh, this is the man who has done this book, so this has to be like this. This book will be entirely critical of Gita Press, so you start abusing. So even on Twitter, a lot of people abuse, especially after the Ramnath Goenka Award. Not much before that, when I said I'll accept the award, but I'm not taking it from this gentleman. So this is kind of, nobody wants, everything has been reduced to 140 characters. Nobody wants to engage in the sense that at least read the book, at least read a chapter before you come and start attacking. And this is not only about me, I see across board the kind of response the Barkha got or Rajdeep got. I remember, I don't think any one of them had read their books. Or, you find certainly Wendy Doniger gets it all the time.
Yeah.
Because he has certain names, he did something, and how as a foreigner he's supposed to write anything about us, about our culture. So this has become very, very common and at one level troubling, but then you also see that, these people don't have the, what I call, wherewithal to engage, so they also fade very soon. They attack you. So it becomes, if you learn to deal with it, if you don't engage with them on social media, once you never engage, never get into replying to all of them, then it's all right. Then let them shout, let them talk.
So more of a nuisance value.
It's more of a nuisance value, So that's all.
Yeah. Just coming back to some of the issues you talk about, and you mentioned things like, say, Gau-rakshak, this cow protection. There's so many issues now that are hot button issues that have come to the fore, but have been in the making for years. So can you tell us a little bit about?
I'll deal with two issues. One is this Gau-rakshak, the whole cow protection thing. Gita Press played a big role. In fact, right from 1926, when the journal started, there's been not a single issue of Kalyan, which is a monthly, when cow has not been discussed. They brought out two big issues, special issues on Kalyan, cow. And they have been at the forefront, not only writing, but when the Gau-rakshak Mahabhiyan thing started in the 1960s, Podar was its leading light, he was its treasurer, and it consisted of people like Golwalkar, Govinda, even people from Congress were part of it, some of them, and they were playing a leading role in it. He was part of this larger thing in Maharashtra, those days, what was called Bombay Presidency, of closing abattoirs. In Bombay Presidency, then in Bengal Presidency, and all these things. So they played a big role in taking this message to ordinary Hindu homes about cow. And again, but the problem again was, if you read their Goang or their Hindu Sanskriti Ang, they in one line will talk about some scholars having said that beef was being consumed by Hindus. But they will not try to argue with them by saying that no, you are wrong. They know that those were great scholars we're talking about beef consumption. So they say, oh, this is absurd to even think like this, but this is how it is. So instead they will talk of Muslims who they never consume beef. Great Mughal rulers, Akbar never did this, or Humayun never consumed beef. That kind of story as a counter to those saying that Hindus consume beef. They'll say, oh, there were Muslims who never consumed beef. So they played a big role. One of the biggest attack on parliament which happened in the 1960s on Gau-rakshak was led by all these guys who included Podar and near Parliament House. Even I think Kamrad's house was attacked that day. It was one of the worst violence that Delhi had seen. It was on cow, and Gita Press played a big role.
I mean, in some way they've come full circle to see what they what they want. I mean, if it wasn't fueling xenophobia and hatred, I suppose it would be a different conversation. I do want to ask you. So you've won the Shakti Bhatt first book award. So congratulations for that. You've also, of course, won a Ramnath Goenka Award. And I think that's when you sort of hit the headlines because you took a stand that you don't want to receive the award from Prime Minister Modi. What was your thinking behind that? And
see, my thinking was this complete denigration of the profession by this government. Not that I'm in the process. I'm not saying Congress was great at all. Congress is the last party which can take moral high ground on treating journalists well or treating the profession, letting the profession do its work. We are emergency. Let's not forget. But at the same time, this government, you have a minister who's calling the entire profession prostitute, and nobody stops. People say on nationalism you should not ask questions. Why will you ask questions on surgical strike? Aren't you nationalist? And the Prime Minister himself during election campaign called all of us some news traders. And it is a complete, and the way media is being, this whole news flow is being controlled now. You can see that everything is through 140 characters I'll give you. You form a news around it. The Prime Minister will tweet, ministers will tweet, they're more active on Twitter. When you ask cross question, it will be demonetization. No questions can be asked. First few days, media, everyone was in complete blank what was happening. One fine evening, Prime Minister addresses the nation. So, what I'm trying to say is there's been a complete, he has a total contempt for this profession. And so is many of his cabinet members. And this is not only now, we saw what happened. If you see right from 2002, the way he's been talking about media, the way he's been getting after them. Some in media will never get access to him for what they did in 2002, which I think were doing journalism in 2002.